Team Spirit have for Sunset Lover in the mid, right?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. But I think right now Falcons need to force it out of him, right? So far, it's been very standard drafts from both of these sides, and it looks like Falcons have gone back to blue side once again against Team Spirit. I'm hoping they don't fall into the Jushin trap again.
Yeah, it's a... I mean, the ban so far and the way that a draft is looking, it's set up for either the Alpha or the Jushin 2. So there could be a chance that we still see it being prioritized here for Falcon. The only thing is probably being a bit more mindful because, yeah, they were able to adjust their lineup enough to show us that there was some flex factor to the first phase, but that didn't stop Team Spirit from setting things up well for their Balearic pick.
All right, go a little bit of a coach drafting mindset 101 for y'all here. So if in this scenario, Falcon and Team Spirit ended up in the same positions, Team Spirit's also red, Falcon's still blue. If Falcon ends up with a Bruno pick, there's a 100% chance that Team Spirit already knew that that was going to happen. That whatever Falcon goes with, I mean with that Bruno-wise, they'll swerve it. So Falcon decides to shake things up and they ban the Bruno themselves. So that's a good call by Falcon to do that. Here's a fun fact for them. They actually have the average longest game time in M6 at 16 minutes and 33 seconds. These gentlemen know how to play for the very late game.
I mean, I'm surprised they were able to push that game to like nearly the late game, even despite the struggles that they had to face in terms of their composition. So what more if they get their hands on a more comfortable type of composition, right? But as we're seeing it right now, I think the Jushin's still kind of possible for Falcon, and yeah, they go for it.
Yep, they're going to take the Jushin once again. I do feel like this is a trap, right? But now that they've made the adjustment of banning out that Bruno, it makes the gold lane a little bit more volatile, and that's something that they need, because previously we saw that Beatrix, even with Bennett, it's pretty difficult to land the abilities on top of a double revitalized style of composition, especially in the early game, and it doesn't look like they were investing too many resources into it until we got to the mid game. So unless they have a way to kind of speed up the tempo or at least the pace from the side of Falcons, I don't see this changing too much.
All right, let's see how they'll pair that up with a Jushin. They get the high booster right away. Are they going to swerve and just pick up their course right now? Because honestly, the most surprising is to go high and then just pick up the Granger also.
Yeah, the Granger too, because I mean, if you're talking about range, Falcon would want to deal with the Granger for sure. And they haven't shown their fronts just yet, but they will be going for the safer option at least. They will eliminate the factor of having a Hilda invade the Hayabusa.
This is actually really interesting because now I feel like Ren is playing a mind game. Previously they were looking to kind of bait out that Jushin and eventually start locking in heroes like Hilda and as well as the Bruno. But now that it's gone, they want to threaten the gold lane and force Falcons in a position where, hey, if you want to rebuild that composition, by all means do so. But now you're forced to be picking, hey, you got the Phoveus, I got the Hilda, we know exactly what's going to happen again, but we don't show our gold lane first, which is a pretty good idea from the side of Falcons.
So will Team Spirit be forced to show their XP roam as well in this kind of scenario? Because picking up the Phoveus, we've seen how they were able to respond so well to it just with the presence of the Balearic pick earlier. But if they do that, yes, they get to reserve their mid and gold for later, but that reveals too much of their lineup as well.
I'm always quite skeptical about seeing Hayabusa get picked up so early, but that's usually a confidence thing. But I think Falcon has already turned off the idea of, they actually pick up the Aurora. A part of me thinks Team Spirit cannot run it back with the Belleric, because the Belleric was empowered by the presence of the Aurora plus the Bane. Without the Bane, wait, they can. No, but Falcon will ban it, right?
What mid
they
Bane?
will, right?
No,
they can't play the Bane anymore. There's already Hayabusa.
But
so,
the mid, okay, well...
there's no room for Bane, so would you Belleric?
Well, now it really depends on what the jungler is supposed to be. If it's going to be an assassin, it's a little difficult to play Belleric into it, because Wrath of Dryads is relatively a slow spell as it circles the Belleric, but previously it was alpha. It's very straightforward. It only moves in one direction. You don't have to worry about too many angles when you are playing it, and as you mentioned, on top with the Bane as the natural counter towards it, disengaging sounds like a great idea, but look, they're banning it out. They want to set up alpha for themselves, and they want to see how Falcons is going to respond to it.
Well, it's like Coach Red and Team Spirit going, like, we're in your heads, guys. We first picked the Hayabusa. And they banned the Belleric. I like what I'm seeing.
There's so much respect.
Yeah, this draft is very fun. You can tell that they're both trying to go one step over the other just thinking ahead. So we're going to be seeing some new roamers. I think the Tigreal Valentina trade will now be active, even though the Tigreal might suffer a little bit up against the... If it is a roam high loss and then into a Juician, I feel like the Tigreal would mess up what the Phoveus would want to do.
Yeah, I mean, the Cho and the Gaton are still available too for Team Spirit, because I think you would be conscious of the presence of the Jushin if you were to go with the roamer that will eventually be scouted every now and then due to the Lantern Flare, due to the presence of the Lantern Flare. So I think they're more okay with having the Cho up against this lineup of Falcon. So let's see what Team Spirit goes for. They can either go for that or the Tigreal, as you've mentioned.
I feel like the Tigreal makes a lot more sense, but that's a safer play. If they want to be bold, they want to be brave, they can technically take the Cho, but it's just empowering more Infernal Pursuits and the passive procs coming in from Phoveus itself, right? At the very least, I feel like it's more on Falcon's side to decide that. I feel like at this point, you've already predetermined what that EXP matchup is sort of going to look like, locking in. So this is how they want to speed up the game. This is a 180 turn from what we saw in game number 1 from Spirit.
I mean, we've seen like the roamers who use or tend to use Cho also tend to perform well on the Jawhead. Like in terms of concept, I think they're pretty much the same, pretty much straightforward, but like this is a very aggressive early game from Team Spirit. I don't feel like they'll be that patient for their mid-game spike type of team with their lineup right now.
Yeah, for those who love to gather, that's a blue-red deck that TS is showing. You will control, but it'll be aggro as all heck. So how do you deal with aggro with a good amount of control? Well, you see if you can whittle it down from afar, but the Granger will definitely have to pipe purify up against that Jawhead.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough to play without it. I want to see what this final pick coming in from Falcons is. It's going to round out their composition, and they want to go for the Alpha once again. So it's going to be a protect the President here and let the President just bombard their enemies, but this is on the assumption they survive the early game. I feel like Team Spirit, they got a couple of interesting plays that they could make in the early game for now, but in terms of a support that would kind of, well, not really a support at this point. They're just looking for a gold laner. Yeah. They just need something that scales, right?
Yeah.
Let's get the Beatrix. Yeah, both would do.
I don't think Kiko has a... I don't think a 1-1 will be played into this. So yeah, they just go for the Beatrix instead.
Huh. Big bursts, hard chunks, nice combos from the side of TS. They have to execute well. Falcons, they can play defensively, but it's going to be a slow and steady lead.
Yeah, strong counterpunch for Falcon Esports. Team Spirit, it feels high risk, high reward. Let's see if it'll be rewarding for a 2-0 lead, or they risked it all and they made it 1-1. Let's go, nice winning.
Very interesting to see the draft here once again. Game 2, it's Minaisu and Ingan. And when we get a look at the draft here, you're going to notice, if you saw game 1, not too much has changed for Falcon Esports' lineup this time around. Nearly all the same picks except for that Granger. But then on the other side, Team Spirit, definitely a different game plan this time around here.
Yeah, I like the early game centeredness of their lineup. Again, bold choice to go for Sao with the Droid, but we know that these types of lineups, they can be punished, and so far, mistakes have been crucial for the previous series of every single game for M6.
Well, we'll find out once again if Falcons Esports can bring this to a 1-1 in the best of 5 as we jump into the Land of Dawn, or will Team Spirit make this game theirs, just like they did in the previous one. It was a slow burn, though, but this time around, the fact that they have a Jawhead alone, you know, they want to go for these pick-off potential early game picks, because if they can get a snowball already in the mid.
Speaking of early aggression, One Shot's going right after PX7 again, wants to really control the mid lane.
If One Shot gets momentum building on this Hayabusa, that's going to be great for the idea behind this draft. Taking a look at the emblems, of course, you know, you still got a little of that extra tenacity there here for Hiko once again. But this time around on the Beatrix over on the other side, you're still running Festival of Blood and Rupture for Benny. Yeah. And that might help them. Again, part of the difficult thing they dealt with last game. Oh no.
Early ejector onto that. Here comes the Revitalize, not going to save him. Whoa. But Royal Milk wants to counter out. Here comes Sunset Lover with the slow. Skid X will walk away, but Team Spirit, again, their aggression paying off. Sawo, what a beautiful first takedown.
Very different, you know, like I was saying, with the Jawhead in tow, and now under the turn. I'm not sure if they still push this in. They do get him down a little bit, but now Sunset Lover, they're going to be the one in trouble, still has the passive and will get out. I'm surprised earlier on, too, the Revitalize wasn't popped a little bit sooner from Kid X. But nonetheless, you know, that first blood going in the hands of Team Spirit. And for Sawo, you know, if it went to one shot, it would have been a little more scary for Falcons Esports. But right now, they're just kind of adjusting to this early game aggression from Team Spirit.
Yeah, and that was also a good engage for Team Spirit, because even though they didn't get the kill onto Royal Milk, they were able to expend this vengeance, so it's gonna give easier time for Kid Bomba in the laning stages of the phase. And now the first turtle has spawned. Team Spirit draw the first blood. Will they be able to take the first turtle?
First turtle going to be started up. You know, Dax did this quite a bit in the previous game, and they were able to lock down objectives. It looks like they're going to do the same thing here because of the fact one shot, not even a part of this. So turtle secured for Falcon Esports, and it looks like one shot just wants to go ahead, try to take the buff, but he's going to get spotted out. Good looks from Benny, taking a couple shots with the Rhapsody.
One more. Okay, one shot with the Quad Shadow. He's gonna safely evade a potential death coming in from Falcon Esports, and Benny just heads up play along with Kid X to make sure that one shot doesn't get a trade after Falcon Esports got the turtle.
That's what they gotta do, though. You know, even if it's down to just protecting those buffs for Dax. Dax really had a difficult time in the previous game on being able to utilize the Alpha, and I feel like, you know, he wanted another shot this time. But like I was saying, even down to Royal Milk. You know, he was that frontliner on the Phoveus. He's had amazing performances on the hero alone throughout this point, but he got kind of shut down. Oh, Sawo.
Alpha, plus Retribution, just to try and bring down Sawo. So again, Falcon Esports, they're fighting back. Even though they know Team Spirit has an early game advantage, they know that once it reaches the mid game, especially since that was able to secure the turtle, they're not going to let Team Spirit bully them in every single lane.
Well, that's what I was going to say earlier. You know, Kid Bomba specifically played so well against the iconic pick from Royal Milk, that Phoveus. He'll probably, again, replicate it here. He's really good at usage of the Revitalize, sometimes even baiting in people to get a kill and cap out when one shot rotates down. But you can see this. The focus for Benny right now is getting some extra gold in his pockets on that bottom turret. The rest of the team's going to show up. They might force a fight.
Good catch from Dark Spear of Alpha. Not letting one shot cast that wee shadow kill, but here comes the ejector, and gonna take down Dax. And Team Spirit turn things around with that jawhead pick.
Give that kill, give some money over here to Hiko. Definitely off again to a good start, at least for the gold lane. Benny's still looking for his, but relatively farmed up pretty well. Even working on the second item, already has that Hunter Strike. Meanwhile, on the other side, Hiko's still working on his first. Next turtle's up, though, so Falcon Esports will go ahead once again get a position. I think the game plan for them is just go ahead, lock down objectives, secure that, get, you know, the extra buff if you can, the extra shielding, and then hopefully you can go into some of these early fights or skirmishes. But if they don't want to fight and they take things slow, then it might work in their favor later on, depending on how Benny plays right now.
Okay, Hiko has to walk away there because the Death Sonata and Rhapsody combination just really hurts for the side of Falcon Esports. So again, a no trade for Team Spirit. This is the second time they let go of the turtle, just let Dax try to get it, and then try to go for the invade. But the problem is Falcon Esports, they know this. That's why they were able to prevent Team Spirit from invading.
I feel like so many times, even in the previous game, we've seen Falcon Esports, you know, get these little initiations and then they're not able to actually capitalize on them. This time, they're heavily focused on getting this tier 1 down, or at least some of the extra gold to Benny. Here's the response, though, from Team Spirit.
Oh, Ladder Flare!
Kid Bomba has got to revitalize. Not going to pop it just yet, just kind of running away. It's going to be fine, though. Sunset Lover also always there to go ahead and help them out. Again, utilizing this Aurora. Still, I'm not sure if Benny could be in trouble. Kid X.
Okay, Glorious Pathway, gonna be used up already. Falcon Esports just really standing their ground in this gold lane. They really want to give a lot of space for Benny and make sure that he can bully continuously Hiko, especially since this is one of Hiko's signature picks, the Matrix. Mind you, this is the hero that he got the Savage with.
Yeah, man, I mean, they wanted that turret, they got it. They cut it out, and now one shot, trying to trade something in return.
Okay, one shot, gonna get the purple buff, but this time, just really finally a trade for Team Spirit, and Falcon Esports just really holding on to their lead, 1.1k. They're really controlling the map, not letting Team Spirit look for those pickoffs, because so far, even though Sawo has a Joy, ideally you wanted to go for those isolated pickoffs. You have a capable gold laner that could burst down any given member of Falcon Esports along with one shot with a Wiki Shadow Kill, but they're not able to do that because Falcon Esports rotation, their mid trio keeps sticking together.
They have to, and again, you can already see it. They're in position for the third and last turtle of the game. Dax going to start that up and try to blitz it if they can. We'll see if Team Spirit lets it just kind of go in the whims. BOD now picked up too for Hiko. Now on the other side, they're actually going to go ahead and contest this one.
Yeah, Kid Bomba just zoning out Royal Milk. Okay. Got caught even with a vengeance. He's going to turn and get down, and look at this. One shot will get the final turtle. Sao with the unstoppable force onto Kid X. They're going to take down Kid Bomba as well, but Hiko left alone to dish out the damage, forcing Falcon Esports to retreat.
The trade right now, still one shot.
Okay. Got stunned, but Hiko snipes Dax and brings him down. What a beautiful trade from Team Spirit.
That was a trade, yeah, of course, but also for Hiko to get that kill, get the shot off. Unfortunate for one shot, gets caught under the turret. And that's the thing, you know, you're seeing Team Spirit go ahead and find these pickoffs if they can, or force these situations if they can, and it's Falcon Esports trying to maintain that and stick together. But, you know, unfortunately for Team Spirit, those little things that build up, again, they're trying to whittle down the gold lead. It's nothing massive, but by the time this Lord does come up, expect them to go ahead and fully contest it and be in position because, again, playing around the gold laners here, they're both working on the second item right now, at least for Hiko. He's only got that BOD, and then over for Benny has a Malefic Roar, so he's going to start doing some good frontal damage to whoever decides to tank up those rapid shots and the Death Sonata. So right now they just go ahead, secure the buffs, get ready for the Lord. If they can get some more tier 1 turrets down too, especially even in the mid lane, that'd be great for them to work around that space advantage. But pressure now on the purple buff.
Big Glorious Pathway, a clear entry onto Hiko, so Kid X just continuing to zone out Hiko as the rest of the members of Falcon Esports trying to get the purple buff away from Royal from one shot. Kid X caught in the middle here. Benny goes in with the Death Sonata as well. Gonna take a couple of shots onto Kid Bomba. No casualties for both of these teams.
Sunset Lover, I'm so surprised how many times, you know, he maintains the passive. It doesn't get popped. He does take a couple shots, of course. And like we were saying, you know, Benny is going to be at the point, even though he hasn't gotten any kills yet in this game, the damage has to be respected. He's going to start poking down some of that front line from Team Spirit and make them second guess a little bit. Hiko does now pick up that Malefic gun. He's got that available for him. Working with the range now, which is going to be important, especially with Benny on this Granger. They both get set up now for the Lord. Zawo!
And they catch Zawo, but still with the flicker was able to catch Zawo with a ejector. Benny is going to fall down in the hands of Hiko. But a counterattack coming in from PX7 going to bring down Zawo as well. All the while, one shot doing a 1v1 with Royal Milk, and he's going to win that trade. Team Spirit gets 3 and might be able to take down this first Lord.
What a choice from Team Spirit to go and find the right target. You got to give it up to Zawo. Finding the mark, gets Benny, tosses him in the air, and they collapse down on him. And this is also just going to get them the objective. So Team Spirit, a big play and shift in momentum now as Lord is secured, and they'll go ahead and get ready to march in with this Sunset Lover, getting the Wishing Lantern here too. And you can see, I mean, is Zawo alone? The fact that he can go ahead and just kind of jump into things, and if he goes down, it doesn't really matter. As long as he got the right target, tosses them to the team, and they get a crucial opponent down, then that's great for Team Spirit. So Falcon Esports now has to be a little more cautious on that approach. Every time Zawo has that flicker available, they're probably going to go for that.
Now the good seal from Team Spirit, but again, Kid X will cut their path off with a Glorious Pathway. Going to try and save that mid lane turret. Are they going to go for it? One shot though, with a Wiggy Shadow Kill, connecting with the Frigid Glacier as well. But Royal Milk might be too deep here. Going to take down by Kid Bomba. And another kill for Team Spirit.
See, it seemed, and that wasn't even with the Revitalize. You know, they were able to go ahead and withstand a lot of that pressure already. Now the mid turret going to go down here, tier 1. Lord still down on the bottom lane as one shot gets ready to walk towards that. Hiko also picking up the Haas Claws, has a little more healing now, capable for him, a little more sustainability as they work on getting the space advantage. They might even get some of these shields down. Lord's already at half health, so Falcon Esports still on the defense. Kid X got to get back, got to heal back up here. First shield down to the bottom side being popped mid next here. Once that wave does push in and they make their way top. So Team Spirit gets a big advantage just off that first Lord, building up to almost a 5K lead.
Oh, one shot. Wants to go for the Wiggy Shadow Kill and gets down Benny! Whoa!
Now he had the one shot, he took it. He might as well.
His palms weren't sweaty that time as he was able to take down Benny. That was crucial. They need Benny to try and defend the inhibitor turrets, but Team Spirit, this was an... Oh, wait! Got caught up, but if you're Rafa coming in from Dax, but here comes the ejector. They're gonna work on Kid X, but he has to revitalize though. Hiko! One more shot. Who's gonna get the kill? One shot enters the frame. Sawo and one shot. It's just a matter of time. Who's gonna take him down? But it's too fast.
Wait, he's going to catch him. One shot's going to catch him. He knows it. Kid X just buying time. The rest of his team still in the base. One shot will be fine. The team gets half health on that base turret. It looks like Kid X made it, but the one shot does take him down. So Falcon Esports ultimately defensively keeps all their turrets. You know, at least they keep the base turrets off of that. Could have gone way worse. But Kid X being the sacrifice there buys him some more time.
I mean, just looking at the game, it's like a complete repeat of game number 1. It's just that it's more clashes. But right now, the difference is for Team Spirit, they had to wait for 3 Lords because, again, they didn't have that dive potential. But in this case, they have Sawo with the Jawhead, one shot with a Hayabusa. So this game for Team Spirit is actually relatively easy compared to game number 1 because again they can go all in with just one injector, and looking at the way they play, they don't care if Sawo dies as long as he gets a proper target, might it be PX7 or Benny. It's gonna be hella worth it for the side of Team Spirit.
Yeah, and right now Hiko locked in, hasn't died just yet. Benny as well though, at least he's got a win in nature, so might be able to actually help contest this. And that's why Team Spirit, given the fact that they're up this much, they still have to respect what the lineup from Falcon Esports can do, and it might be better for them to just go ahead and wait for Falcon Esports to kind of overcommit into this area and then allow Sawo to find his target and toss someone up. Hopefully he doesn't toss Kid X, obviously, you know, because earlier on that's what he did in the base, and Kid X just kind of took off with the Glorious Pathway. So Hiko really up front. There's Kid X.
Oh, they want to go for it again with the Glorious Pathway. Bridges is not going to connect with one shot onto the back line. Going to force out PX7's Crimson Beacon. Not going to be able to take down anyone apart from Kid X, but Royal Milk just doing the zone. Cannot out-sustain this time the 5 members of Team Spirit, and they executed that to perfection. I mean, forcing Kid X to use the Glorious Pathway early on to find and look for an angle, but Team Spirit was ready for that engagement.
Yep, Kid X wanted Hiko. He wasn't going to get him. Hiko utilizing the flicker, but not only that, but that's also why that Haas is really important, because a lot of times he's just kind of, you know, moving and gunning and getting some of that health back. And he also picked up the Sea Halberd, so that helps with that sustain that comes from Kid X alone. And just really well protected, you know, on both sides. That was the plan, but Team Spirit is just doing it way better throughout this game in game number 2. And now that they get ready for that Lord to come towards the base, going to be knocking down the base turrets at this point, and Falcon Esports on the defense, trying to clear out the waves the best they can. Already down in the mid lane, Team Spirit looking to take this turret out. A couple shots more from Hiko from a distance will take that turret down, and still the Lord making its way. One shot, picking up the Blade of Hepsies. He might look to go in again, and he assassinates Benny. Benny is a crucial part for Falcon Esports to stay in game 2 as that Lord charges now, taking down the top base turret. They might force the situation. Sawo!
Oh, but Sawo gets Royal Milk and got bursted down right away by Hiko. Deletes him. Kid X, though, with a Revitalize, just doing their best to try to delay the push of Team Spirit, as one shot will work on the bottom lane turret. The rest of the members of Team Spirit trying to work on the Crystal. Here comes Owiki Shadow Kill. A Winter Crown play coming in from Dax, but they're going to bring him down. The next target is Benny, and a full-man wipeout for Team Spirit.
And Team Spirit does it again in game 2, but this time a little bit faster and really dominant in the lineup they brought to this game 2. It didn't seem like Falcon Esports had much of an answer to what was being thrown at them. And what was that? That was Sawo. He was throwing everybody all around on the right mark, and Hiko shining throughout. The pickoffs were great. The damage was there, and that front line, again, Kid Bomba on this Hilda, man. I don't know. He's just such a front line. And Sunset Lover, too. You know, we saw him leading into the game. He was very vocal to the team before they jumped in. Well, he's having a hell of a series, too. Let's go ahead and throw it over to the panel to break out game 2.
Old but gold. What is up with these longtime veterans of our scene, especially the roamers? First I thought of JPL, now it's Sawo bringing out the Jawhead and making it work. Again, high risk, high reward for Team Spirit, but they were definitely rewarded for the risk they took in the draft.
It's a huge reward. It was very risky to play the lineup that they did because eventually they were going to get outscaled one way or another. However, the speed of the game is what's a little surprising, right? It's not like a get a little bit of tempo and then snowball it out of control. It was very paced well. It had its moments of going a little bit faster, but it also slowed down when it needed to. It was very controlled macro-wise.
Honestly, it was such a treat. Like, if ever you did have doubts about them being able to pull off the Jawhead heading into this game, then them proving us wrong all along was such a treat. And if you were to recall like the Sao Digi era and how he's just able to manipulate the Jawhead this aggressively to show up some sort of change in terms of Team Spirit's approach. It wasn't entirely the mid-game waiting for the power spike type of Team Spirit as expected.
Yeah, we had some very strong opinions about the itemization, especially in this game number 2. Gideon, could you care to break it down, please?
Of course. I'm looking specifically at Benny, what he's going for. This is his traditional build, right? He likes to do this every single time he plays that Granger. He likes the extra bit of utility, the extra bit of attack speed every once in a while. But the thing that annoys me is the fact that he's going for Flicker. He has to pick his poison of Team Spirit. Who does he want to technically run away from with that Flicker? On top of the fact that he decided to go for Warrior Boots instead of Tough Boots. He should have gone for Tough Boots in this particular game because the only people who really threaten him is if Sunset Lover flickers forward to stun him or lock him in ice, and most importantly, Sao. Because time and time again, we have seen that ejector be a very effective tool for the side of Team Spirit. But if you can't find that space, that short amount of space to rondo away from the unstoppable force into the injector, you're basically guaranteed to die.
Yeah, and PX7 are rushing the Sky Piercer, though we were a little bit more split on the opinion of that. At first I was like a little bit too greedy, but at the same time I understand that they needed to equalize the burst that Team Spirit had by potentially banking on the idea of, hey, maybe PX7 can get a snowball from here, which they had the possibility of.
Yeah, we saw the intention, especially in the early stages where they were like making sure that they had the information as to where One Shot was all the time, where they were trying to kind of pick up the pace and go alongside the rotations of both Sao and even Sunset Lover. And apart from the fact that PX7 actually decided to go for the tankier emblem build on the Jushin as well, which isn't something entirely new to us. It isn't new to us, yeah, but like they weren't able to play it to its strengths. The mere fact that Team Spirit were the more successful team when it came to just surprise ejector plays and pickoffs towards Falcon, I don't think they had the liberty to just stand in front of Team Spirit as much as they wanted to do.
Yeah, I gotta ask you this, Gideon. At some point, from my perspective, it felt like Falcon, instead of being protect the king, protect the Granger, protect the Jushin, it looked like their front line was a little bit too preoccupied with just catching Hiko.
Well, yes and no, because again, I feel like as much as they want to play around Hiko, there's a lot of things you got to worry about, right? And if Hiko is the main damage source, the main big source of burst, at least if you can stop that, you can kind of outplay One Shot by sticking together, maybe even getting a Winds of Nature. Sunset Lover is a little bit harder, but at the very least, they had flickers that kind of move themselves away from the Pride of Ice if necessary, especially the Frigid Breath. Now, I think here that the biggest thing for me is the fact that that early game is what caused a lot of problems for Falcon. The fact that we had to see Kid X go for an early recall, that's when the tempo fell into the hands of Spirit. And once Spirit had that tempo, you could see that they knew for a fact that One Shot was getting a little aggressive in the early game. They had to defend Benny on his side, and that just means that they lose more pressure over the mid. If we had to go lane by lane basis, Sunset Lover clears the waves faster than PX7 on the Jushin. So the only way Jushin can actually keep up with him is if Kid X comes over with that concussive blast. But unfortunately, if One Shot is hovering around Benny's lane, Kid X has no choice. He has to stick around because Benny had to use that flicker early on.
And I think Kid X did a really great job if it was just about tanking all the damage. I mean, look at it. 140,000 damage in total, tanked all by Kid X. But I think the idea of him having to tank everything and just show himself into the front lines also gave that opening to Team Spirit, particularly One Shot, to also find the angles, to always get PX7 and Benny. It was always the most important heroes that were taken out by One Shot, especially in the latter portions of the game.
Yeah, this is another harsh reminder for us as to how powerful the early rush on the Malefic gun for the Beatrix is. I mean, we've mentioned earlier in the pre-show that this is a signature for Hiko. He's one of the players that really made that strategy stand out of, hey, rush the Malefic Gun of the Matrix is so strong, especially with the Nibiru. Every time Falcon would throw bodies to try and catch him, it just felt like they really could not get to him. That split their team fight, and it made one shot just have a feast on Falcon. He was feasting on Falcon throughout this game on this Hayabusa. I would not be surprised if he is the MVP of the game.
I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised too, but he also was hella farming, right?
Yeah.
It's not like he was consistently looking for kills. He was sacrificing turtles to get the level lead early and item power spikes, and that is why we give our MVP over to one shot on that Hayabusa. The macro plays were really, really great. The rotations, and most importantly, the ideology behind each of those motions. There was clear intention, and most importantly, they understood how power spikes work, and they utilized it and maximized it at every step, every minute of this game.
Yeah, to push that idea even further, Dax got his second item 2 full minutes after One Shot got his second item. That's how you know that Hayabusa went fast with the farm.
I mean, there was also this existing level gap between them for the longest time throughout that game that I'm not entirely sure if they were able to close out, because even until the very end, it didn't feel like Falcon Esports were able to find a way to deal with team spirit.
Yeah.
Even like the moment wherein Kidx just had to run away from everything and all the way to Team Spirit's base. It was just like an inevitable means to buy time either way for Falcon Esports to get lose that game.
I have to agree here, because again, it just felt like Falcons were chasing the coattails of Team Spirit throughout the entire match. I feel like, unfortunately, this is all due to the fact that they didn't have control over that mid lane. PX7 is always late to these fights, and because Kid X died early on and had to recall early and defend Benny in lane, that pressure eventually started to bleed to every single part of the map. And once Team Spirit got into that third turtle in this very next Lord fight, you could see the gold difference making such a huge impact in that first initial engagement, right? The front lines cannot hold on. They're not running double revitalize here. And even Royal Milk, with the vengeance, did not have enough with a fully scaled Hiko.
Yeah, it seems like Team Spirit, with them drafting red side in both of these games, it feels like the draft centered a lot with the idea of them Falcon getting juice